We want to welcome you to Arbor Lodge, the home of Arbor Day. J. Sterling and Caroline Morton were married in fall of 1854, came from Detroit, Michigan area, settled first at Bellevue in one of Peter Sarpy's compounds, and then within 6 months moved down here to Nebraska City, where they built their first 4-room frame house. And apparently it was the first 4-room frame house with shingles between the Missouri River and the Rocky Mountains.
Wow.
When they got here to Nebraska territory, they realized that there weren't very many trees. There were only trees along the creeks and riverbeds. So for fuel, people had to bundle up prairie grass to burn. The Mortons immediately set out planting trees. They'd go down along the creeks and riverbeds, dig up those saplings and plant them around their home to beautify their home. They realized early on, we're going to need trees in Nebraska territory for shelter, for shade, for windbreaks, eventually for fuel, for food, for habitat for animals, and basically to plant for the future. So that concept continued for several years, the Mortons planting trees, beautifying their home. And then Morton realized if we're going to attract a lot more people to Nebraska to settle, we're going to have to plant a lot more trees. When he was president of the State Board of Agriculture, he proposed to have a day set aside just for tree planting. That first Arbor Day, April 10th of 1872, 1 million trees were planted in Nebraska. That concept was picked up by newspapers across the United States, and eventually other states started having Arbor Days. Other states, other countries, school groups, and the idea spread. Now Arbor Day is celebrated all around the world.
That's very cool.
In 1872, what was the population of Nebraska territory? Or was it already a state? It was, wasn't it?
No, Nebraska
No, it was a
didn't become, well, Nebraska became a state in 1867.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
There still was not a lot of population in Nebraska, mostly in eastern Nebraska.
Military,
But they planted
right?
1 million trees.
1 million trees that first Arbor Day. So if you could imagine every Arbor Day and then that idea of planting more and more and more, you look around us and this is not a wooded area. These trees were planted by the Mortons and descendants and people taking care of the grounds here at Arbor Lodge.
Must have been people planting a lot more than one tree.
When you see pictures of Lincoln as the state capital, it's just a desolate prairie.
Yeah.
When Stephen Long did his exploration of the West, Nebraska was actually listed on maps as being the Great American Desert. They didn't believe that Nebraska soil would ever be good for agriculture. And Morton proved that you could plant crops, you could plant trees, you could grow things. And now Nebraska's pretty well known as an agricultural state.
Did Lewis and Clark ever spend time here?
Lewis and Clark spent time along the river and then moved further on up the river, but not a significant amount of time in this area.
Theodore Roosevelt spent a lot of time, or spent time here.
President Grover Cleveland spent time
Grover
here.
Cleveland. Okay,
We
that's right.
believe that Roosevelt may have visited because he was friends with the Morton family,
That's
but there's
right.
no documentation that he actually stayed here.
Stayed here. Okay.
Yeah, there was that photo of Morton and Teddy Roosevelt in the Grand Canyon. In the
Absolutely.
mansion.
Right.
They were all lovers of the environment, preserving the
Here
environment.
too? Was he in that photo?
Not in the
No,
photo,
okay.
but he...
Arbor Day, as I said, started in 1872. By 1888, it was a Nebraska recognized holiday. In 1972, President Nixon signed it to be a federal holiday. It was also in 1972, 100 years after the first Arbor Day, that the Arbor Day Foundation was formed. The Arbor Day Foundation now manages Arbor Lodge. We have the Lead Lodge, we have the Arbor Day Farm, the Tree Adventure, and it's continuing that mission to plant, nurture, and celebrate trees that Morton started all those years ago are continuing and moving forward into the future.
I remember getting a tree given to like 3rd and 4th grade. They would bring trees in and give them to us in class, and we'd take them home and plant them.
Did you have that in Cocoa?
No, we had this. Yeah. We were talking about that on the way over here.
I grew up in southern Ohio,
and I was in Kentucky. So
In 1882, in Cincinnati, Ohio, 20,000 school children gathered together to plant trees all across Cincinnati. The United States government took note of that and said, what if we start having school celebrations to plant trees? And that impetus of creating booklets and handbooks for teachers to know how to celebrate Arbor Day was really the push that it took to spread Arbor Day.
That must have been part of the legacy then.
Yeah.
You know, even the generations later.
Yeah.
you sure you weren't there, Ranger Day?
I'm sure I wasn't.
Just check.
We still have Arbor Day celebrations here in Nebraska City, and on the weekend of Arbor Day, we have a children's festival. Every local school child that comes out to the festival receives a free tree. And it's fun to listen to those generations of people come through and say, I got a tree at Arbor Day. It's still in my yard. It's now a towering giant, and my grandchildren are enjoying that tree.
I love that.
Yeah.
So I told the children, go home and ask your moms, dads, grandparents if they got the tree, where it is and if it's still living. And in many cases, those trees have grown up quite a bit and have made an impact in their lives.
I'm going to have to go back and check.
Yeah.
Where I lived when I was a
Seriously.
kid.
Yes. I love it.
The house started as just 4 rooms in 1855, growing over time with 4 major renovations during J. Sterling's lifetime. The last addition was put on by his oldest son, Joy, who was the founder of Morton Salt. The 4 sons all had their own homes and families elsewhere, but they would come back to their homestead from 1903 to 1923 and use this as a vacation home and a summer home. In 1923, Joy Morton gave the home and the grounds to the state of Nebraska to become the first historic state park.
Very cool.
2021 is celebrating 100 years of Nebraska Game and Parks, and 2021 through 2022, we're celebrating 150 years of Arbor Day.
Well done, Nebraska.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah. And that's why we're here, is to celebrate 100 years of state parks for Nebraska Game and Parks Commission. And
This is truly a treasure.
Yeah.
And we're so happy that you're interested in sharing the love that my staff and I and people that visit the park enjoy every day.
Yeah, Arbor Day didn't just happen. It's not just a Hallmark holiday, or it really was because they saw the land and
It's impacted the whole country.
it's impacted the world. You
Yeah.
think about it. Yeah.
Plant
The mission
trees.
is
Plant
continuing.
trees. Yeah, and celebrate trees. I am a tree hugger and a tree sniffer. When we hike, I will, and they, I honestly, they all have a smell. So this, it makes sense.
Got a great photo of the 2 ladies here smelling a tree.
A ponderosa pine.
Ponderosa pine
Ponderosa pine back
in
in the
Utah. And you either smells like
Butterscotch or vanilla.
Or vanilla.
And that's
Yeah.
true for everybody. It all depends on your genes.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
This tree here that has a plaque, it's definitely seen better days, but we have photos of this tree even in 1903 being a small tree, but that tree came in a can from Pikes Peak.
Oh, wow.
Caroline Morton rode a wagon up Pikes Peak in 1878 and brought back this Engelmann spruce to plant here.
Wow.
Wow.
Holy Moses.
We're in plans of having that tree propagated because we know it's not going to last
Days.
forever.
Yeah.
And it would be nice to be able to grow another one off of this tree so that we can still celebrate
Yeah.
Caroline's achievement, because not only did Sterling plant a lot of trees, but Caroline and the sons and the generations to follow are continuing that mission.
Laura, thank you so much for showing us the history and telling us about the Morton family and Arbor Day. We're ready to go see the future.
We're so pleased and honored to have you here, and yes, check out the future and the towering trees above you.